Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Benedict Construction, where Dan and his entire team very proud to salute the memory of Pat Summitt, as we are doing today here on the Sports Source. Back in this segment with Joan Cronin, with Mike Strange, and in the middle there, a man who just drove 3 hours to tell one story. Isaiah Victor, former player at UT, of course, VFL. If I don't say VFL, I'll get emails. Isaiah, thanks for joining us today. The day Pat passed, you sent me a text and said, "Are you going to do the whole show Sunday?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I got a story." Now, this is when you were playing. A lot of people may not know this, but Pat Summitt actually gave the pregame talk before a Kentucky game to the men's team.
Yeah, and I looked up, they were ranked 13. It was for the SEC East Championship. We hadn't been there, we were rebuilding the program at the time, so it was a very, very important game for us. And I just remember we would always be laid back in our chairs, and it was the same situation. I'm laid back. I think I'm in the back row. There's holes in the second and third row. And I just remember her walking in. She walked in casually with that light blue and orange sweatsuit she wore all the time, Adidas at the time. So she walked up to the front. We're still chitter-chattering like we would always do, before the pregame talks. And I just remember her turning on those Superwoman eyes and saying, "No. Everybody to the front, and everybody set up straight in your chair." And I mean, you talk about everybody standing at attention. So, but she went on to talk about, I remember just giving principles. She didn't get into any X and O's, of course, but she, play together, play hard, compete, fight. She just instilled so much confidence in us, man. And it was at a very short period of time. I mean, you're talking about 3 or 4 minutes here. But I mean, it really affected the way we played, and she was the type of person anyway. Anytime she walks in the room, anytime we're practicing, we're on the court, and we see her aura just makes you want to play harder, play better, and really impress her.
You guys won the game?
Oh yeah.
What year was that?
98, 99, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Compared to sounds like she demanded a little bit more attention than the normal coach, Jerry Green?
Well, she was more of a disciplinarian.
I don't think anybody out there is surprised by that one.
Right, yeah. And I tell you, we played and we remember what she said the whole game. And after the game, before the game, we felt like she just had a bunch of good players and was winning. But after the game, we were like, well, she's the reason why she's getting the best out of those players, and we really wish we had her as a coach.
Well, and that's what I want to get into. There are a lot of people out there who think, well, she couldn't have coached men. Well, here's the thing. Mike Krzyzewski said this week that he remembered C.M. Newton, who knows a whole lot about basketball, talking to him about hiring Pat as a men's coach. Everyone knows that she was asked once, at least once, maybe twice, would you be interested in talking about the men's job at Tennessee? I have no doubt she could have succeeded if men could have said, "Daddy, I'm going to go play for this woman." I think the only issue would have been chauvinistic dads saying you're not going to play for a woman, and she probably could have overcome that. Mike, do you think she could have coached the men's game if she wanted to?
She could have if she wanted to, absolutely. There's a couple of women doing that now, maybe as assistant coaches in NBA or whatever. She absolutely could have. She was certainly, basketball-wise, she could handle anything. And she was tough enough and strong enough to stand up, I think, to any Allen Iverson who doesn't want to practice or whatever. She could have done that. I think recruiting would have been the big issue, but she would have been smart enough, strategic enough, and tough enough.
Joan, I always loved her answer, of course, was, why would that be a better job?
Absolutely.
Her calling wasn't to coach men.
No, it wasn't. She always said, and I said, you can coach men's basketball, but she always said, my calling is to make a difference in women's athletics. And she did that day in and day out. She made a difference, not only in women's basketball, but in women's athletics. And of course, I always said, I need you coaching women's basketball, because as long as you're doing that, I'm a pretty good AD. So we worked together, but her goal, not a doubt in my mind, she could have coached men's basketball.
You agree, Isaiah?
I'm 100%. Like I said, we wanted her as our coach, and she spoke broadly, but it always felt like she was talking directly to you when she spoke. So, and she got through to us.
Isaiah Victor just drove 3 hours to come down here and spend 5 minutes with us. Isaiah, thank you very much. I think that says a lot about you. It also says a lot about Pat Summitt and the impact she made on everyone she touched. When we come back, someone else who wanted to be a part of this show, Mark Pankratz. We'll talk to the former Vol aide when we come back on the Sports Source.